don't give up and don't lose hope. And it's easy, you might think it's easy for me to say that, but I've just watched a video of a guy in Northern Ireland, and he's apparently got a gun. There's armed police there shouting at him, and all he's saying is end it, end it. And he claims to be a veteran. He says he's done 3 tours of Iraq, 3 tours of Afghanistan. Obviously don't know if it's true or not, but he doesn't seem to be in the mood for telling lies. And as far as I know, the siege was ended peacefully. I'm not going to put the footage up there because of the man's privacy, and I'm not going to say whereabouts it was in Northern Ireland. But that man was desperate. And by the sound of it, that man had lost hope. And I saw another veteran. This video is very applicable to veterans. So if you're a veteran watching this video, just hear what I've got to say, because I think this is really, really important. Obviously, I'm a veteran. A lot of my friends that do the work that we do in the movement of veterans. And this is really for everybody that's been in the situation or something similar to that situation that guy found himself in tonight. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. And again, from a veteran's point of view, when you're in the military, if you're on a 8-mile tab, if you were doing your CFT or whatever it was, or you're doing your Brecon 2-miler, or even your BFT, you never gave up. You didn't stop. You didn't say, I'm not going to do the time. I'm not going to do it at the time that I've got to do it in. You kept going. So that's the first point. Keep going. The second point is, have a purpose in life. Have a purpose and have a plan. Because if you keep going and you don't know where you're going, well, you could end up anywhere. But if you keep going and you know where you're going, you're going to end up somewhere good, hopefully somewhere good. And the third and final point, and this is the Sunday bit of it, okay? Have faith. When my back's been against the wall, and I've said this in a lot of these videos, but it's such a true point. I heard Joel Beakey first say it years ago. So the difference between a Christian and everybody else is a Christian always has somewhere to go. When I'm talking about faith, I'm not talking about faith in anything weird, crystals or mediums or seances or some weird Eastern religion. No, I'm talking about having faith in the God of the Bible, faith in Jesus Christ, because that changes everything. And that guy that was involved in that siege tonight that I got the footage of, would it have been different for him if he had genuine faith and he had real faith and he had living faith? Absolutely. Because every single one of us find ourselves in desperate times and desperate straits. And I've said this as well, and it might sound very morbid, but when you're lying on your deathbed, whether it's a deathbed or whether that guy could have been lying dead in the street tonight, that's the truth. Thankfully, he wasn't. But when you're lying on your deathbed, the reality is, doesn't matter how much of your family's around you, doesn't matter if they're all holding your hand, you're on your own, just you and your Maker, you and God. And that's why it's so important. It's so important to have Christ. Makes all the difference. It literally makes all the difference. When I've been in some very bad situations, normally of my own making, hands up, I've always said about 90% of the scrapes I've gone into have been my own fault in my life. But I've always been able to go to my Father in heaven. No matter what I've done, I've always been able to go to him. Just like the guy in the parable, you remember? He got the inheritance of his father, he went and squandered it. He ends up, he's lost all his money, he's spent it all on wine, women and song, and he's in a pig pen feeding the pigs. And he says, I'll go back to my father. And as he turns round, he looks up and his father's already sprinting down the hill to take him home and slaughter the fatted calf. Well, of course, that's about the relationship between God the Father and his people. And very much Christ and his people as well, because remember what Jesus said, if he's looking after 100 sheep, one of them goes missing, he leaves the 99, he goes after the one that's gone missing. And that's what that lad that was in that siege tonight needed. He needs to know that there is someone who cares, and there's a God who cares. And that's the most important thing. It's not your friends, it's not your family, and as much as you may love your friends and family, the most important person in anybody's life is God, the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the reality. And I hope, and I'm going to pray for that guy that I watched on that screen, because he was desperate. And I tell you what, if you've lived a life in any way, shape or form, you will have hit a point in your life where you're desperate. You will have hit a point in your life where you feel there's nowhere else to go. And let's say with a Christian, there's always somewhere to go, and it's always to Jesus. So you need to have purpose, you need to have a plan, you need to not give up, but most of all, and most importantly, none of the rest of it matters unless you have Christ. Happy Sunday, see you all soon.